7 years ago, I had to walk away from my freelance business and go back to a 9 to 5 because I was burned out from working with nightmare clients and my income was too inconsistent. And at that time, it felt like the ultimate failure. But today, I'm grateful for that period because it helped me realize that I had been spreading myself too thin, trying to do a million different things and make everyone else happy. It ultimately helped me recalibrate based on what I actually want my business and life to look like. Today, I have clients that I genuinely love working with, and I haven't had an income gap in the last 5 years. Before I fully realized how chaotic my business had become, I would say yes to any work that came my way. That led to me doing work that didn't really align with my values and working with some people that I honestly didn't like very much. But I was so caught up in needing to make money and needing to know where my next paycheck was coming from that I just kind of overlooked all that. And the ironic part is that I so deeply wanted to start freelancing because I wanted to be my own boss and build something of my own and not be stuck in the 9 to 5 rat race. But what happened is I ended up in this place of chaos and reactivity, and I had just sort of recreated that for myself in a different way. In 2018, I landed what had been my biggest project to date at that time, and I was so excited. But the client ended up being, shall we say, not a good fit. And by the time it was over, I just couldn't fathom going through the motions anymore. I also needed a new car, and because my income was so inconsistent, the bank wouldn't give me a loan. So I got a job at a marketing agency where I worked for about a year and a half. And it wasn't long into that I felt my motivation start to return. You can't keep an entrepreneur down for long. But I didn't want to repeat that cycle I had just been through. So I let my business be a side hustle for a while, and I started thinking more of how can I make this something that is stable, that is going to last, that isn't going to put me on this roller coaster. And working at the agency was really helpful because I got to see how this large business was operating. And I knew that systems were important and I had systemized my business to some degree. But seeing this business that had been around for a long time helped me realize that I had systemized in the wrong direction. I was trying to make something efficient that by nature is not efficient, which is the project cycle. And once I started focusing on building stability and recurring revenue rather than chasing the next invoice, that is when I really started to see momentum. One client turned into 2, which turned into 3. And before I knew it, I had replaced my income from my 9 to 5. All that was left to do was hand in my notice, which I did in early 2021, and I haven't had an income gap since then. And at this point, I've been working with the same core group of clients for several years, and what that's taught me is that stability isn't just financial, it's also energetic. When you actually enjoy the work you're doing, every day doesn't feel like an uphill battle. And since I've dialed this in, I've realized that I am not special. Any freelancer can do this. And I have seen freelancers doing this across a wide range of niches. I believe that every freelancer should be making 6 figures a year without burning out, so let's get into the system. Here's your freedom formula. Now, there is one requirement that makes this whole system work, which is that you have a marketable skill. This is a skill that you already have that people are willing to pay money for. And it could be something that you learned at work or at school, or it could even be self-taught. Since you've made it this far, I'm going to assume that you have a marketable skill, but if you don't, I do have some more beginner-oriented videos on my channel. All right, without further ado, the first piece of this is your niche, which simply put is what you specialize in. Every successful business on the planet has a niche. And the power of your niche is that it keeps you focused, which is important for every business because resources are limited, but it's especially important for your one-person business. And this is actually where I did make some mistakes early on, because while I did niche down in the beginning, I let clients pull me out of that niche, and I saw opportunities. They weren't really opportunities because they didn't really align with my niche. And when you go outside of your niche, firstly, it's not possible to really systemize that because you need to be building your business and your systems around one focus thing, around doing one thing for one type of person. But it also is a waste of energy because in your business, everything that you do is building your reputation. And if you take energy away from building reputation in your niche and you let it get spread out, that really is just a waste of energy because you need your resources as a one-person business. Your time is your biggest resource. You need your time to be going toward that thing, that space that you want to be building in. And because I had gone outside of that, I was, switching gears a lot. I was really stressed out and I wasted time doing things that didn't ultimately pay off and help me build my business in the long run. And I know it might seem kind of counterintuitive to say, okay, I'm going to focus on helping this one group of people doing this one thing, that might turn you off from opportunities. But as I learned, you're one person. If you spread yourself too thin, it's just not going to work. Your niche is also really important for building client trust because high-paying clients do not want a generalist. They want a specialist. Imagine if your sink had a leak and you needed to fix it. You're not going to call a general handyman. You're going to call a plumber. So if you want to be top of mind like that for clients, you have to have a niche. Once you have your niche, you're going to get even more specialized with a retainer service. You can think of your retainer as a niche within a niche. So you've got this space where you're applying your skill and you're helping people. And within that space, there's going to be one particular thing that your ideal clients need done every month. So it's kind of like a subscription is another way to put it. This is another strategy that tons of businesses use because that recurring revenue gives them stability. If you start looking around, you're going to see this everywhere. Netflix, pest control, meal delivery. So your goal is to develop a comprehensive monthly package for your ideal client. You can have some introductory lower cost services, but your retainer should be high ticket because you really have to think about the energy that it takes to manage a client. You do not want to be having 10 clients. It takes up more mental bandwidth. So because you are a one-person business, you need high ticket services so that you don't need as many clients. If your goal is 100 grand a year, that is $8,333 per month. So you'd need around 4 clients a month at $2,000 to hit that goal. And when it comes to actually getting clients, this is where your client attraction strategy comes in. And there are a lot of ways to find clients, but they all fall into 2 buckets: inbound marketing and outbound marketing. I have a lot of freelancers ask me which one they should focus on. And the reality is that you need both. Because with inbound marketing, you are putting yourself out there and waiting for clients to come to you. So if you are waiting for clients to come to you, that means this is going to be slow and it can be unpredictable. That's why you also need outbound marketing, which is where you just go out and you directly start having conversations with clients. This is your cold outreach, your cold DMs. And these 2 methods also support each other because if you're doing outreach, the people that you're reaching out to are going to be checking you out online to see if you're legit. And if they don't see anything, you're much less likely to get a response. And because your goal is to sign retainers and have clients on subscription, and you're going to be working with them long term, your outbound strategy is not something that you have to worry about scaling. You're going to do a season of outreach and get your first clients, get your foot in the door. And once you do that, you have unlocked the power of building your reputation, which opens the door to referrals. It's simple. You do good work for people, they tell their friends about it, and they send them to you. I haven't had to send a cold email in over 3 years at this point because anytime a client has canceled their retainer, I just contact my current and past clients and they send people to me. So you're going to do this work to attract clients. And once you start having conversations with them, this is where you do need to understand sales. And this is something I don't really hear anyone talking about in the freelancing space, but it's something that I identified as a weak point really early on. So I've been working on this for a long time because I'm an introverted and awkward person. And what seemed to come very naturally to some people would just freak me out. Like the idea of getting on Zoom with a client or like trying to talk to people at a networking event, it freaked me out. Now, I actually got some sales training when I worked at the agency, which helped a lot, along with just talking to clients over time. And the main thing that I learned that really took the edge off sales for me is that you are simply helping people find the right solution. This is why I use the discovery call method, where you are having your prospective clients book a discovery call with you so that you can discover if it's a good fit, if you can help them, and if they pass your vibe check. And because you're going into this call with a pre-constructed service that you're already kind of known for, and they've probably checked out your online presence, they can see what you're all about, what you're offering, that makes your leads much more qualified. And that means these conversations are usually pretty easygoing. So you can have a chat and pretty quickly figure out if your service is going to help them reach their goals. That's really what sales is all about. Once you've landed some clients, you have to get out of this mindset of working on your business and actually work in your business. So now you're actually focused on doing good work. I remember quite a bit of friction here because it's like you put all this energy into finding clients, and for a while finding clients is the job, but once you get them, you have to switch gears and actually focus on doing the work. Now, it might seem obvious that you have to do good work because happy clients stick around, but the important thing you have to remember is everything you're doing over time is feeding your reputation. If you can't deliver, if clients aren't happy, then all this momentum that you've built is going to go to waste. And this momentum shows up in multiple ways. I talked about, referrals. That's one way it can show up. But it also is really important for your energy, because a really huge benefit of working with clients long term is you develop a deeper relationship with them and you get to know their business really, really well. You're much more integrated into it. And I've noticed that you develop a sort of intuition of what is really going to help this client. And that not only helps you do good work now, but it helps you foresee ways that you can bring more value to the table, and you can expand your packages, change your scope, raise your rates. So this focus on doing good work is really crucial. It is the link that is going to hold this whole ecosystem together. I actually had a freelancer ask me once, what is your mindset? How do you keep growing? And when I thought about it, I just said, well, my mindset is to get my clients the best possible results so that we can continue to work together and I can continue to expand my opportunities. So I'm at this point in my business where all I do is focus on doing good work for my retainer clients. This is the promised land. This is where I have more energy, more bandwidth. Sometimes my business feels so simple that I feel like I should be working more or doing something else. But then I remember how chaotic my business used to feel when I had that mindset. I'd rather continue to invest my energy into the clients that I already have. And now that I'm here, I hate that freelancing is synonymous with hustling and the feast or famine cycle. It's like, yes, like I said, you have a season where you're doing this push, but if you get all the pieces in place correctly, that's going to just build momentum so that over time it becomes less and less hard. Business and entrepreneurship and life is already challenging enough. So if you put this strategy in place, it's going to remove that friction. I recently opened up a coaching opportunity for a small group of freelancers who want to grow to 6 figures while working with a few of their dream clients on a retainer basis. I will personally be working with you to help you lay the foundation that you need to make at least $8,333 a month while doing work you enjoy. My ultimate goal is to reshape how people see freelancing and make it a positive and stable force for the people who are serious about making it work. The doors are already open and spots are limited so that I can dedicate time to each person, helping you with your strategy, helping you overcome any roadblocks. So if you're ready to build a business that you can depend on, check out the link down in the description. You can read all about it there, and if it's not a wait list, that means spots are still available.